How you guys doing? It is Thursday, April 7th, 2022 AD, Anno Domini. It's 9:01 a.m. U.S. Pacific Daylight Time here in Los Angeles. And my Odyssey should be going. I do stream live on Odyssey, odysee.com/@TheHake Report. And so let me just make sure that that is going. There is a, by the way, just a side note, there is a Bond Rebuilding the Man Odyssey channel. Did you know that? It doesn't stream the church live, but it has the church archives after it goes live. The JLP Odyssey is the one that goes live. So, very nice. I will get to your calls, guys. Yes, we're going. I will get to your calls, guys. It is Thursday. I want to talk about the Ketanji. Is there going to be a Ketanji vote today? Is she going to be officially on the so-called Supreme Court and just pollute the Supreme Court even more with her mess? Like she polluted Harvard, as if that's even possible, to pollute Harvard even worse than it already is. But she did it. She found a way by protesting this beautiful flag. I have some clips of her to play. I have a clip, I think, of the Amir Locke press conference by his mother, silly Al Sharpton, and silly Benjamin Crump. Amir Locke was this black guy in like Minneapolis or something. I think it was Minneapolis, Minnesota. Right, Minnesota? This guy had a gun, but he was sleeping in a couch at his buddy's house or something. And the cops did a no-knock raid on the buddy's house, or cousins or something. And he pulled out his gun, and they shot him. He might not have known that it was cops, but he got killed. And we've had big debates on this show about no-knock raids, but a whole lot of black victimhood, you know? So, and I hope to cover cyberbullying. Oh, what a mess. But anyway, guys, let's get right on with the show!
1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la.
Hey guys!
Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la.
So, how are you guys doing? I am fine. Happy Thursday, everybody. Happy Thursday. Beautiful day. It's a beautiful day. Actually, it's going to be pretty warm today over here. It's supposed to be like 92 degrees. And it honestly, even during the summer, I don't think it was hitting the 90s that much. Right, in this part of LA, a little bit closer to the coast. The coast helps make it more temperate and nice. So, interesting. I will get to your calls, guys. I will get to your calls. But first, let me just cover this thing that's going to happen. It's going to happen. You know, this Ketanji vote probably today by the Senate with rhinos voting for her and the disgusting Democrats. You know how we cheerlead. Ooh, Joe Manchin. Tulsi Gabbard, so independent. Tulsi Gabbard, she's a Democrat, right? Hawaiian woman. Joe Manchin is this supposedly pro-life Democrat from the South somewhere. The beautiful South. Shout out to the beautiful South and to the Facebook crew, by the way. And who's this other woman? Kristen Sinema, a Democrat senator who's supposedly sort of centrist from, what is that, Arizona or somewhere? I think so. She replaced, you know, we prefer her over Jeff Flake or John McCain, I think. Do we? I don't know. But they're all voting for her, I think. Far left Twitter, far left enemies of America Twitter, now owned, plurality owned by that guy, that rich male from South Africa, Elon Musk. Senate vote expected Thursday on the Supreme Court nominee Ketanji. They call her Brown Jackson. I call her Ketanji Onyika. Brown maiden name, Jackson, white husband, married name. Nice. But not I don't know if he's a normal white. He's a sucker. He just looks like a simp, looks like a beta, wearing a mask inside the Senate committee hearings. Let me play this clip 11. It's 2 minutes long. These Reuters reporters, they don't sound like normal Americans. I'm trying to listen to this guy's accent. What type of accent is this? Or is it an accent? But the far left Reuters, I think this is a Reuters report. U.S. Supreme Court nominee Ketanji Onyika secured the support of 2 more Senate Republicans. This is a little bit old news. On Monday, we already knew about this. Lisa Murkowski and Mitt Romney joined Susan Collins in saying they would vote to confirm Ketanji Onyika, to imitate Nick Stream was doing, pretending she was like one of those African click-tongued speaking language woman. 3 rhinos, Lisa Murkowski, Susan Collins, and Mitt Romney. Makes me want to spit. Listen to this report. It kind of goes over what's been going on over the past days and, I guess, weeks. Listen to this mess from Reuters. 2 minutes long, guys.
U.S. Supreme Court nominee Ketanji Brown Jackson inched closer towards becoming the first black woman to serve on the nation's top judicial body. On Monday, Jackson secured the support of 2 more Republican senators in a procedural vote that brings her nomination to the full Senate floor. That comes after the Senate Judiciary Committee deadlocked 11-11 along party lines on whether to advance the nomination. Republicans Lisa Murkowski and Mitt Romney joined Susan Collins, as well as the Senate Democrats and Independents, in voting in favor of the procedural vote. All 3 said they would confirm Jackson to a lifetime seat in the top court later this week. Jackson is already expected to win the backing of all 48 Democrats and 2 independents, giving her a majority of support in the 100-member chamber. But her confirmation would not change the court's current 6-3 conservative majority, as she would fill the seat of retiring liberal Justice Stephen Breyer.
Look it up.
The committee vote followed confirmation hearings last month that again exposed a stark partisan divide towards Supreme Court nominees. Republicans often pursued hostile lines of questioning and tried to paint Jackson as a dangerous liberal activist.
She will prove to be the most extreme and the furthest left justice ever to serve on the United States Supreme Court. She will be to the left of Justice Sotomayor. She will be to the left of Justice Kagan. She will be way, way, way to the left of Justice Stephen Breyer.
Democrats, meanwhile, praised Jackson's qualifications and record while hailing the history-making aspect of her nomination.
If there is one positive to take away from these attacks on her, it is that the nation saw the temperament of a good, strong person ready to serve on the highest court of the land.
A final confirmation vote on Jackson was expected for Thursday or Friday.
Ridiculous, huh? Shameful. Sorry if my clip volume was a touch low. I'm the one who made the clip, so it's my fault if the clip volume was a little bit low. Those of you who are watching on the video feed especially. The audio feed, I don't know, might be better. But guys, so disgusting. And thank God for Ted Cruz, right? Or not right? Ted Cruz, in my opinion, a bit of a phony. Yeah, according to the far left enemies of America, Associated Press, also far left extremist outlet. They're so extreme. AP, just like Reuters, they're not middle of the road. They are evil. They're for evil. They're against Trump. They believe in that racism exists. They believe in mentioning. I'm going after the media just briefly for this interlude. They pretend that the transgenders are really the false gender that they imagine that they are, that they feel like they are. They don't call illegal aliens what they are. AP, it was reported back in like 2013, they changed the name of illegal aliens to be something else, like undocumented immigrants or something like that. They respond to pressure from the extremists, so evil. The extremists, which is what they are. The extremists being the people who support the invasion happening in America. Oh my gosh. Bear with me through this tangent, okay? I was listening to the Crypto Report yesterday, a little bit of it. Asmodor's show over there on Odyssey, odyssee.com/@AZZMADOR. Because I'm going to be going on there, by the way. But he was interviewing this guy named Paul Town, who I think is on Cozy, just like JLP. But before that happened, he had this amazing intro of just various clips. And I heard, and I saw it on Fox News today too, confirmed, that the illegals are getting Obama phones. Obama phones. I call them Obama phones because they're free phones. And Biden is the extension of the Obama administration. Biden is not the real president. That's my conspiracy theory. Yeah, he's the so-called real president, but he's like out to lunch, you know? That's my, and this is what the liberal media supports, which includes, you know, people mock CNN, MSNBC. And yeah, they're mockable, but so too is far-left Reuters and far-left Associated Press. Anyway, this Ketanji woman, back on track, guys. I don't want to get too off track. I do have to get to calls. Ketanji would make history as the first black woman, and they capitalized the letter B in the word black. Let me correct that. Put open bracket, lowercase b, close bracket before lack. Black women lack sense lately. The first public defender to serve on the U.S.'s high court, too. Oh, my gosh. What a disgrace. Speaking of disgrace, let me click a new thing here. Let me cover Cory Booker. He quotes... Oh, my gosh. You guys got to support JLP on Subscribestar and or Rockfin. I mean, I recommend it. We have cool exclusive content there. I'm on Subscribestar too. I appreciate the support, guys. I see 3 of you already. 3 of you. Shout out, guys. But here's so-called Senator Cory Booker, joke from New Jersey, former mayor of like Newark. This is from April 4th, a couple of days ago. ABC News highlighted this twice in tweets on April 4th. This is clip 12, I believe. Cory Booker quotes Maya Angelou. Maya Angelou is a dead black female poet, kind of fat, I think. Although they put her on a quarter and they made her skinny and young. But she died. Rest in peace, Maya Angelou. Cory Booker, this goofy guy who doesn't even seem quite black, because he's like mixed or something. Bug-eyed guy. Like I'm one to criticize bug-eyed people, but still, he is. And phony, he's very entertaining, though. Just a phony person, and he quotes, "Still I rise," during the Senate Judiciary Committee hearing, for which, honestly, he should get reprimanded, censured. On Ketanji Onyika. Rise, Judge Jackson, all the way to the highest court in the land. Just a bunch of weak woman talk. Listen to this. Here it is.
I am hearing from people, not just black women, but particularly black women, who have been relating to me their stories about having to come into a room where you're more qualified than the people who are sitting in judgment of you and having to endure the absurdities of disrespect that we saw Judge Jackson endure. The stories I'm hearing are replete from folks in all kind of jobs and all kind of experiences in their lives who are so qualified, so worthy, and what they've had to endure. And that's what struck a chord this week. I don't think, again, we are going to have our political substantive disagreements, but it was the treatment in some of these questions that triggered a hurt in so many people I know and have encountered. How could they create these caricatures? How could they create these exaggerations? How could they disrespect a person like her who's done everything right in her life and in her journey? How? How qualified do you have to be, double Harvard? How qualified do you have to be clerking at all levels of the federal judiciary? How qualified do you have to be 3 times confirmed by the Senate in a bipartisan manner? And so, Senate, I have to say, today is the birthday of a great poet named Maya Angelou. And so I'm just going to end with those words. Why does this poem strike a chord with so many Americans? Because they feel it to their bones. And so this is in honor of Maya Angelou and the next Supreme Court Justice of the United States of America. Happy birthday, Maya, Dr. Angelou. You may try to write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies.
He's holding himself.
You may trod me down in the very dirt, but still, like dust, I rise. Rise, Sister Jackson. Rise, Judge Jackson. All the way to the highest court in the land. And when we have that final vote, I will rejoice. Ancestors will rejoice. And we will say, Lord, this is a day that you have made. Thank you.
Yes, Lord Satan. What a mess, huh? Terrible. You guys in the chat, I'm chuckling. Is he talking about Kavanaugh's treatment? Asks Robbie over there on Facebook. Yeah, I know. Remember how Judge Brett Kavanaugh? I like beer. And he's all weak and rhino-y. And they tried to call him a rapist. Oh, my gosh. Funny. Harvard is beta, says Chabo. Yeah, indeed. He's going to cry, says Wayne. It's ridiculous. Still I rise. And I say that in, I think I said that in the upcoming Subscribe Star post on Jesse Lee Peterson's Subscribe Star. Check it out, guys. It'll be up soon. We talk about Ukraine, Russia, Putin, Zelensky, and the Patreon ban. Did you know that we were all banned on Patreon? Just a little side note. JLP and Hake and the Fallen State all banned on Patreon the same morning. Seems orchestrated or something. So ridiculous. Rise, Judge Jackson. And he quoting the Bible. This is the day that the Lord has made. Lowered, not Lord. Lowered down into hell. Ridiculous. But what else is there to say? Cory Booker, Big Bump says, Cory Booker is all mama. He and RuPaul are cousins. Are they really? RuPaul, the guy who said, drag queen. RuPaul, that's the same guy, right? RuPaul, the cross-dressing black mess of a person from way back. He's all old, too old to be messing around dressing like a woman. Shameful. And there's a whole lot of weak woman talk. The Daily Beast put out this. By the way, as I'm talking about this, you can just kind of show pictures. I screenshotted all those tweets, a bunch of tweets on this Twitter thread of this Ketanji woman, not because of what the tweet said. I didn't even read the tweets, but because they have so many different photographs of this woman. I guess she's very photogenic. She seems like a boisterous, smiley, charming, semi-big black woman. Isn't that nice? A pleasant smile, right? And so just in general, if I happen to be talking about Ketanji, you can just randomly show tweets, I guess, if you feel like it. The Daily Beast quotes this woman, Eleanor Clift, a purportedly white woman, I don't know, probably not Christian. The far left Daily Beast, on whose board this woman sits, this daughter of Hillary Clinton, Chelsea Clinton, sat on the board of the Daily Beast, the far-left extremist Daily Beast. We probably won't remember the names of Republicans who performatively voted against Judge Jackson's confirmation. That's Ketanji Onyika. But 30 years from now, we will be talking about the first black woman on the court. Her record, her rulings. Wow, you found it. That's funny. That's good. Yeah, ridiculous. So writes this Eleanor Kraft woman. And she has this like short-haired old lady, purportedly white, who knows, maybe not a normal white, you know, ridiculous, unchristian woman, old lady, talking with her mess. 30 years from now, are we going to be even just every bit as shallow and pathetic? We being, I mean, the society. Ridiculous. So that's that. I may cover a little bit more of this phoniness. Dick Durbin is not as entertaining as Cory Booker. Dick Durbin is another Democrat. I'll cover that later, maybe. Let me get to a call or two. I'd like to keep this thing going. You can call in 888-775-3773. And remind me to tell you about my shirt, my T-shirt that I'm wearing, thehakereport.com, and look for Teespring in the menu. Bobby in Texas is on the line. Bobby, how are you doing?
I'm doing fine, man. How are you?
Fine, sir. What's up?
Oh, not much, man. Just working, taking a little break.
Right on. Appreciate you calling in.
Yeah, so, man, I've been talking to a couple of, I guess, liberals, like, in my day-to-day, and they try and tell me, like, that not all the Democrats are, you know, AOC and blah, blah, blah. And
That's what they tell you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm like, I hate AOC and the squad. They're not, but they aren't even the ones I worry about. The ones that I personally detest the most are the guy you just showed, Cory Booker.
Right.
Maisie Hirono in Hawaii, whatever her name is. I hate that lady. She's my least favorite probably of every single one of them. I cannot stand her like rhetoric.
She's all, men, just shut up and step up and do the right thing for a change.
Literally every time she speaks, it's just like nails on a chalkboard for me. I can't stand her.
She's in her like mid-70s.
There's like they try and say this like that they're not, and I'm like, tell me one that's not. Name one, and they'll probably jump in and say something like Manchin. Who's Joe Manchin? One guy. You're gonna try and name one guy, and he's just as dirty.
The outcast.
He may not be as awful as the rest. He may have a little bit more common sense than a typical Democrat leader, but it's like they're all horrible. They're all awful.
Look
crazy.
At Nervous Nancy Pelosi,
right?
Or Chuck Schumer. They're the top leadership. Obama, Biden. What's her name? The affirmative action vice president. They're all disgusting. So anyway.
They're not. It's not like there's this area like of Democrat leaders that's like, oh, these are the sane ones. There's a huge group of sane Democrats. They're all off the planet. Like they're crazy.
It's so bad that now we have to like qualify Republicans as being sane rather than total rhinos, enemies of America.
And that's what I tell them. I'm not going to sit here and try and play up that all the Republicans are good. Like,
right.
There are very few. Like, there's only a handful of good Republicans. Even like they're just as bad. They may not say the stuff, but they won't step up against it either. They'll just ride the fence and let it go. Like you've got a few that are willing to step up, and they take unspeakable abuse. The people that stand up for what's right, they take a thunderstorm of abuse from media, other politicians, even politicians in their own party will chastise like
Marjorie Greene.
That dude, the rich guy Gates, like all these, like there's just and I don't like Gates all that much. He's okay. I
Gates.
don't view
What's
him
the
as,
first name of that guy?
Is it Mark? Is that right?
Oh,
he's the representative in Florida.
Yeah. G-A-E-T, Matt Gaetz.
Yeah, Matt Gaetz.
Yeah, when you said Gates, I was picturing G-A-T-E-S, like Henry Louis Gates.
It's a Z.
Matt Gaetz.
But he's a good guy. You know, I don't, you know, he's not one of my top choices, but, you know, he's a good guy. He stands up for what appears to be right. And I don't think he can be, I think he has money. I think his family's fairly well off, so he's not like somebody that needs, you know, the job for the money.
Oh, okay.
I think there's something to that, like Trump. Like, you know, he's not somebody that became president to get rich. Like I think he literally felt like he could do a service.
Yeah, I feel that way about Trump as well.
And I think he has done a good service. I think a lot of people have had the wool pulled off their eyes that were, you know, basically just kind of going along with what the government was doing up until this point.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people were just both sides, both parties even. I think we're just kind of like, yeah, whatever the news tells me is fine. That's what I'll believe. That's what I'll go along with.
Yeah. True.
But what I first called about, that was just on my brain. But what I called about was Greg Abbott. I don't know if you've seen what he's plotting right now.
Yeah, I think I reported it on Hake News. Go ahead and tell us.
So he's got 600 charter buses along the border of Texas, and they're going to load up all of the a large chunk of the illegals, and they're going to bus them to D.C. And their first stop will be the steps of Capitol Hill, whatever the Capitol.
Yeah.
So they're just going to pull these buses up and drop the illegals in Washington so that the Biden administration can better deal with the situation.
You know, I don't know how I feel about that.
I'm not sure.
Go ahead.
That's what I was thinking too. Like I like the idea. I think is good, but is that really the only option we have? Is to bus them deeper into America?
Yeah.
Put them somewhere where Biden can easily ship them to Wisconsin, Minnesota, Ohio, you know, these states where he can get them on the ballots to voting or whatever. Any way they can manipulate the situation. Is it good that we push them, you know, into the you know, the U.S.?
Yeah, and even as a PR move, like this guy Abbott, I don't see him having the strength to make a tough stand and win in this public relations battle, you know, because basically it's to me, that's like a show. It's like a gotcha. It's like, what are you going to do now? Yeah. And they could just I could just picture them. Who knows what they'll do? Just be like, okay, thank you, and we're shipping them around, like what you just said.
That'll save us. Yeah, that'll save us the trip all the way from Texas. And it's much easier to get them from here.
Yeah, and they'll just mock Abbott as a grandstander, which, in my opinion, that's all he is. I don't see him fighting for Texas or for the country. I think he's just trying to win his re-election, which I hope he wins, because I don't want a Democrat to win in Texas. I guess.
I don't think he's in any danger of losing. I mean, as far as being like just a political tool, it seems like a silly one. But with the ending of what's that 42? It was an act or whatever the law?
Oh, Title 42. Turning them around because of the China virus that Trump had us doing. We rejected 1.7 million illegals in like a couple of years.
So if they've canceled that, maybe their hands are tied, because I would assume put them on a bus and send them to Honduras. Or, you know, as far as the bus can go, you know, send them all the way to Chile or whatever the deepest point of South America. Take them there and drop them off so the trip's harder to get back. But it's like, you know, I guess there's maybe there's laws that stop him from being able to send them out of the country. Maybe he's like, you know, kind of screwed in that regard. So they're like, we'll send them to Biden's door and he can, you know, figure out what to do with them. And maybe the people of Washington will be, you know, fed up with the crime and everything that's going to come along with it.
Yeah, Matt Living the Dream brings up that he just read, and I think I saw it on Fox News and elsewhere. The Texas military is preparing and training for a rush on the border, not the National Guard, the Texas military. And Biden has no desire to, nor does the Democrats, nor do most of the rhinos have any desire to stop the invasion.
And they aren't going to have all the problems that we have here in Texas. Like, they're not going to bust the people with backpacks full of methanol. Or, I'm sorry, not methanol. What's the...
Meth?
What's the...
Opioids?
Yeah, no, it's the... Yeah,
fentanyl.
the opioid. Fentanyl, yeah. They're not going to bust them there with backpacks full of fentanyl or, child trafficking and things like that. They're going to, they're just going to send them the bodies instead. They're like, here you go. And they'll be like, okay, fine. Like, we'll figure out where to stick them, what state we want these people in.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like that he's heard it from other, leaders that were like the guy from, I think it was Pennsylvania, who I'm sure has a, raging illegals problem in Pennsylvania. And he's like, we'll send them to Delaware. Nothing ever came of it because there's probably not a huge amount of illegals in Pennsylvania. Like, they're not making that trip in the winter to Pennsylvania probably. I'm assuming.
I'm sure that there are plenty distributed all across all of the states, because
I can't imagine they could move them that many, there, considering what places like Arizona and Texas and
I know,
are having
but
to deal with.
It's true, but they've been coming for decades, and their children have been raised as anchor babies here, as so-called American citizens, and they have been distributing them for. I mean, there's a big flow coming in year after year, so that's all I'm saying.
Somewhere.
You're right.
Yeah.
They're definitely more concentrated on the border states.
For that guy, I think it was just a PR move. I think he was just like, I'm going to say something and, obviously not do it, obviously not follow through.
Right.
But it's just something to say. And then Abbott's like, well, I'm just going to send them to Washington. That'll teach them. I was like, yeah, okay. That'll not really a great, well thought. But people, I think, are, as far as they're like kind of for it. They're like, yeah, that's a good idea. Let's show them. But I'm kind of like you. I kind of don't trust the move. But I don't know that he has a whole lot of options.
Right.
It's like, let them stay in Texas, leave them here, keep dealing with the problem. So if you can't send them out for whatever reason, then you got to, I guess, find something to do that maybe makes Washington take notice of the situation.
Yeah, I know. Well, did you hear about the Obama phones being handed out to the illegals?
I heard you talking just now, and that was another thing I heard from the liberals. They was like, it's not like they just come over and they get a free phone and they're doing great. And I'm like, now you say that, I'm like, oh, apparently they are.
So the clip that I heard on Asmodor's show was he had this whole montage of different clips of just outrageous stuff going on. It was that fake red-haired woman, who's the press secretary right now for the Biden administration, talking with, I think Jen Psaki, talking with the communist with her pink Russian hat, but she's worse than Russia. She was talking with, I think, the Fox News guy, the son of the Fox and Friends guy, who's kind of goofy, but a nice guy. And I think that guy was confronting her about them giving the free phones to these illegals. And her explanation is, we need to keep track of these people, so hopefully we can keep tabs on them and they can check in with us because they have, they're supposed to check in for a court appointment or whatever. And I think a significant percentage, maybe even 80%, but I'm not sure, don't check in and don't show up for their court hearings. They just stay in the country illegally. What a mess, huh?
Yeah. Because why not? Well, they got make them catch you again. And if you just and most of them, the ones like the good ones, like they keep to themselves. They just kind of go work their, low paying job and stay out of the way.
Right.
And then you've got, also got criminals, but when they get caught, they're criminals. So they're just going to come back. They're like, yeah, deport me and I'll be back in, a month doing the same thing I was already doing.
Peter Ducey, I think, is the guy who, it sounded like his voice, because I was listening on the audio feed. Might have been the one doing it.
I know I've been on here for a minute, but I just wanted to say one last thing.
Sure.
You brought up a guy that the other day on your show. I don't want to really plug his channel, because, even though you kind of did. He's the Irish or Scottish guy that does the murder channel. Murder channel.
Oh, Colin Flaherty, the guy who died?
No, he does like a true crime channel.
Oh, okay. keep talking.
Scottish fellow, young guy. You called him kind of a liberal.
Oh yeah. That chapter.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you actually watch that? Is that a channel you frequent?
You know, my buddy Esteban, my former co-host, he has sometimes I'll watch it with him, like where like he'll stop by, we'll grab a bite, and he'll turn that on. It's like because he's into like these murder stories, crime stories, serial killer type stuff.
I've watched that for like about a year or two now. I like it. I think he's pretty good.
Yeah,
and he's pretty good at uploading content. Like he keeps it fresh.
Yeah.
But I was going to mention one other one. I don't want to plug him, but I got to say his name, I think, so you can find him. Do you mind?
I don't mind.
All right, his name is Mr. Ballin.
I thought you might mention him because that's the other guy that Esteban. These are huge
actually,
channels.
I really like that dude's channel. Like, I think he's a good narrator, and his stories are pretty. Like, a lot of them will get the old arm hair standing up. They're like, that's creepy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I noticed you say that, and I was kind of excited. I was like, nobody I know really has ever heard of these guys. So when you brought it up, I was like, oh, I want to see that guy. Like, and
you know what? I think I mentioned Matt Living the Dream, I think, sent me this story by email, and I never really acknowledged it except for maybe like once or twice in passing, of this guy who got shot in like the head, and his girlfriend or whatever was also killed, but the cops thought that he killed her. But they didn't and then he was all confused because he'd been shot in the head and had fell asleep for days, and they didn't notice. Yeah. But then, like, finally, the guy who was interviewing him looked closer at his face, and they realized, oh my gosh, he has like a bullet lodged in his face.
That one was pretty crazy.
Yeah,
they were like all interrogating him all hardcore, like really barreling down on him. And they're like, this guy's just playing dumb.
Yeah.
It's like, no, he's got a bullet in his face.
And like ongoing brain damage for like hours and hours and hours and days.
I think they shot him twice in the head. Because like one of them, like I think was actually in like his head, and the other one was like in his face.
Yeah. Terrible.
Yeah, that was a crazy one. That was pretty good.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I, when you said that, it struck me. I was like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Somebody else watches what I watch. So I do. I keep tabs on it. I watch it. I like his content. I think he's both of them are pretty good.
Yeah.
The little liberal dude. I don't know. He's good at not keeping and not politicizing anything. Not like
right. Yep.
He may be a liberal, but he doesn't like annoy you. He doesn't say anything that's like negative. He just kind of sticks to his topics.
Yes.
I like that.
I agree.
All right, man. Well, I appreciate you. Sorry to take up so much of your time.
No worries, Bobby. That was my choice. Take care, man.
You too. Have a good one.
Bye. Appreciate you guys hanging in there with me. Yeah, people appreciate Mr. Ballin. Shout out to those guys. Whatever. If you listen to the show. Anyway, let me quickly read a few super chats here, guys. And by the way, I'm wearing my Facts versus Truth t-shirt because facts are not truth. You'll notice the Bible says that Jesus said that I am the way, the truth, and the life. So if he's the truth, it's more than just facts. And a lot of people are all into facts or alleged facts, thinking that they're after truth when they're not really looking at themselves. And, I had a caller, a guy whom I really like, who's all into truth about the flat earth or whatever. And he's all into, the Bible says that it's flat earth. But then his own life is kind of out of control, day drinking and things. Not to pick on day drinkers, everybody got their issues, but the Bible says, do not be drunk with wine, but be filled with the Spirit. Don't be given to drunkenness, among many other vices that all people have, right? But I think that that's why I like when JLP gets to the root issue with people rather than argue about intellectual things. So that's why I like the facts versus truth. And also Trump is about the truth. He may get piddly facts imprecise, right? He'll say, oh, this is the greatest, this or that. And it's not quite the greatest, but he's telling the truth. He's about truth, I say. Some super chats, though, guys. Zion Sion writes in streamlabs.com/The Hake Report. Shout out to Sion. Let's assume Earl's dead. I don't want to assume that. And have a moment of silence for him. Why don't you do a clip of Earl? Or why don't you do a clip of his calls? Do you think now that the Democrats have power, do you think they're just going to hand it over? Hand over like power? No, they're gonna try to hand our heads on a silver platter to Jezebel. That's what they'll try to hand over, the Democrats. You know how they did that to John the Baptist's head on a platter. They did that to King Herod, who's weak. That's what the extremists are doing to Facebook, pushing Facebook around, pushing Disney around. I say extremists, it's such a liberal word. The evil people, the women, the female-minded males and far-left liberal females who just hate men and whites and Christians and children and everything good. That's what they want to do. They're just like Salome and Jezebel, pushing Herod around, pushing King Herod, Beta Herod around. Simp. Simps kill. That's why it's so evil to be weak. You know? Think about what evil happens because of weakness. Biden's weak, so Russia goes in and throws their weight around in Ukraine. And a lot of evil is happening because Ukraine won't say uncle. They say, I quit, I give up. Because they keep on getting enabled to fight a losing war, in my opinion, by NATO and America. But anyway, I don't want to assume he's dead, but I do wish Earl well, and I shall pray for him in silence. Thank you, Zion Sion. John WX25 with the super chat. Not all, but most blacks will support this creature that supports pedophilia and abortion, while have hatred for a straight black Christian man in Justice Clarence Thomas, one of the only, perhaps the one true justice on the Supreme Court. Well, Alito's cool too, right? Alito, maybe not as tough as Clarence Thomas. Shout out to Clarence Thomas. A solid man. A solid guy, seemingly. Fabriettes over there on Odyssey, odyssee.com/@the Hake Report says 2022 red wave a brewing. At first, I didn't understand what your comment said because you said a brewing, as in brewing, like you're brewing coffee. Red wave is brewing, but he spelled it brewing like the animal, like the BRUIN, like the UCLA mascot. I think it's a bear. Anyway, thank you guys for the super chats. I appreciate them. Before I get back to calls, let me talk about this Ukraine hype. Commie Nonsense Network. No, it's not CNN. Aren't they all commie nonsense? This is far left Twitter. May as well be CNN. Ukraine calls on NATO, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization or something like that, to provide all the weapons it needs. This is that enablement that I just mentioned as the war with Russia continues. Killing their own civilians. Could you pull up clip 14, I think it is. It's NATO's so-called Secretary General. This guy is not as entertaining as Cory Booker, but grin and bear it, you people who like to be entertained. Jens Stoltenberg warns that Russia's invasion of Ukraine may last for a long time. We have seen no indication that President Putin has changed his ambition to control the whole of Ukraine. Is that true? Or is there any evidence for that? It's almost 2 minutes long. Bear with me, guys. Here is this guy who, with his broken English, Jens Stoltenberg. It's a male. He's the Secretary General of Ukraine, trying to get us more involved and keep the killing happening. And he's making allegations of war crimes without evidence, in my opinion. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys. Here it is.
We will address the brutal war in Ukraine, and we have all seen the atrocities that have been committed in Bucha and other places in Ukraine. This reveals the true nature of President Putin's war. Any targeting and killing of civilians is a war crime, and therefore NATO allies are supporting the international efforts to establish all the facts, to investigate, and to make sure that perpetrators are punished. We are now in the critical phase of the war. We see that Russia is moving forces out of the north to reinforce them, to resupply them, to rearm them, and then to move them into the east, where we are expecting a major offensive. President Putin's aim is to try to control the whole of Donbass and to establish a land bridge between Donbass and Russia. We have seen no indication that President Putin has changed his ambition to control the whole of Ukraine and also to rewrite the international order. So we need to be prepared for a long haul. We need to support Ukraine, sustain our sanctions, and strengthen our defenses and our deterrence. Because this can last for a long time, and we need to be prepared for that.
What a mess, huh? Ukrainian Foreign Minister Dmytro Kuleba has called on allies to provide weapons to the country as G7 and NATO foreign ministers. G7 is like the global 7 or gang of, I don't know. It's 7 big countries, right? And NATO foreign ministers are in Brussels for an emergency meeting on the Russia-Ukraine war. Kuleba said that and this guy referenced the Bucha, or Bucha, whatever you want to call it, that one suburb outside of Kiev, that they had dead bodies strewn in the street, and they showed it shamelessly with no blurring or anything on Fox News. Faux news! And I like Fox News, but they were showing it, and I'm like, this is blatant propaganda. You know, I call it blatant propaganda, whether it's real or fake. No matter who did it, we don't know who done it. Even the Pentagon, at least as of a couple of days ago, according to the far-left Reuters, the far-left Pentagon could not independently confirm that video, but they're pretending, oh, it's war crimes. Oh, it's a war crime to kill civilians. Civilians get killed in wars. It's what happens. That's why we need strong men to avert wars like Trump. Or not get involved and extend the killing, because that's all we're doing by supporting them. Stupid Ukraine. Sorry, Ukrainians. I know a Ukrainian guy. I think he called into my show. He moved here. So he's here. And he became a nurse, a male nurse. And then because of the vax mandates, this was the flu shot mandates, he became a trucker. Nice move. But it's ridiculous. Shows you how, just a side note, shows you how corrupt the so-called medical field is, the medical industry, because they're forcing out the sensible people who may reasonably have a cause not to get those flu shots. Give me a break. But there's pressure to, ever since like Obama and all them. He said, currently weapons serve the purpose of peace. Weapons, weapons, weapons. Kuleba and his agenda said his agenda in Brussels has only 3 items on it. Weapons, weapons, and weapons. See? Weapons kill. I thought you wanted to stop the killing. Weapons serve the purpose of peace. Yeah, right. Surrender serves peace. Right? Or am I wrong for calling Ukraine to surrender? I'm shaking my head. AFP and Bloomberg report that that's what this guy said. On Thursday, the UN votes on a suspension of Russia from the UN Human Rights Council. Well, good. This buzzword. It's all posturing and phony. they call it narrative, you know, when you're pretending to be about human rights. Hake just I do. I say a lot. But this guy had a lot of uhs. I mean, granted, his English is his second language. In the next hour, guys, we're at 10 minutes till. I'm going to get to some more calls. In the next hour, I'm going to talk about this black who got himself shot and killed. I mean, is it fair to say he got himself shot and killed? He was sleeping at his buddy's house who got a no-knock raid. What type of friends are you associating with? Or maybe this was a cousin. And then his mother is grandstanding. And she doesn't seem to have any grief left in her body towards her son who got killed by the cops, perhaps justifiably. It was a no-knock raid. It was a legal no-knock raid, which maybe no-knock raids should not be legal. I don't know. But anyway, I'm going to cover that. Quick super chat before I get to calls, guys. Asmodor over there on Odyssey, ODYSEE.com/@the Hake Report says Abbott's ploy to move illegals to D.C. is 100% performative. Yeah, that's true. I agree. Abbott, as in Greg Abbott, the rhino, wheelchair-bound guy, knows that he can't legally force these people on the buses. And why would they go? It's just fake nonsense. Interesting. Yeah, I heard they had like 900 buses. Bobby said 600. Pfft. Ridiculous. Just a ploy. Trying to get reelected. And some of the boomers may fall for it. And I love the boomers. I have a t-shirt that says I love boomers. Mess, though. Let me get to Jermaine in Atlanta, Georgia. Jermaine, thank you for calling and holding. How you doing?
Hey, how you doing?
Doing fine, thank you.
I'm doing just well, too.
Cool.
Hey, I was wondering if you think that this is probably the worst movie that we've ever been in now, because nowadays, I remember back in the days, the movies used to depict reality. Now reality is depicting the movies.
I know. And the phoniness seen in reality is like less believable than some of the movies now. You're right. It's interesting.
Yeah. Do you think that because like with the fear mongering and the propaganda, did it start to get worse around like the 9/11 or was it before that? What do you think?
Oh, I think it happened after 9/11. The fear-mongering and propaganda. Because, you know, I've heard it said, and I mentioned it from this guy, Alex Newman, whose clips I played, who was critical of Putin. But he said that these big governments, or governments in general, love to exploit, and people in general love to exploit crises, fighting, fear, stuff like that, war, in order for a big change to happen, because they're revolutionaries. They're not for sensible governance. They're for forcing the people to do what they want to do. And then when there's fear-mongering, when they can fear-monger about the climate or the China virus or Russia or whatever, racism, then they can, or gun violence, they can institute their changes by way of fear-mongering. And I wasn't really paying much attention pre-9/11. I was in high school and college and into my own life, if you will. So I'm not positive. I think that they were probably like that back then too, but I think it's even worse. People are even less, I think people are at a low point in how logical they are. You know, like generally society right now.
I agree because I heard somebody the other day, or a few weeks back, when they were speaking about the COVID insanity, and then they compared it to the 9/11 insanity, with the simple fact that you have to, like a 2-year-old can't bring a bottle of water to the gate because there's a threat.
Right. I know. I couldn't even bring I had to dump my Swiss Army knife in the trash one time.
Oh.
Yeah, that stunk. It was so sad. And I wished that the guy would have just kept it rather than throw it in the trash. I'm like, man, But it was funny because I got through LAX multiple times with that knife. Just a Swiss Army knife, I wasn't going to... I don't use knives for evil. But I was going to Ontario Airport, which is a suburb out here. Actually, it's an ex-burb, I guess. And they caught it. But anyway, yeah, it's ridiculous stuff. The TSA is a joke, kind of, by and large. Yeah.
That's why I asked if it started even back then.
Yeah.
Fearmongering,
It's true.
Yeah.
Good point.
But I don't want to take up your time. Thanks for taking my call, though, Hake.
Appreciate it, Jermaine. Nice to hear from you. Call me again sometime.
And God bless you and the team and Jesse and everybody. Okay.
Amen. Appreciate that, man. Take care.
No problem.
All right. Yeah. Fearmongering. Scaremongering, I call it, because the liberals accused different people of fearmongering. Like when, just a brief interlude before I get to Johnny. Johnny in Tennessee is going to talk about the midterm. But they were saying, oh, you're fearmongering. They don't target kids with sex stuff. Oh, yes, they do. It's disgusting. I saw a tweet from Mike Cernovich, the center-left guy who's hosted JLP show. He's been on the Jesse Lee Peterson show in the Fallen State. He talked about, those so-called crazy Christians from the 80s and stuff that were talking about the slippery slope stuff. Oh, next they're going to want to have same-sex marriage. Back in the 80s, they were talking about it. And then in 2013, they got it. But they're just like, no, nobody wants to have same-sex marriage. Or nobody wants to push the transgender. Nobody wants to say pedophilia is just a sexual orientation. Nobody wants to do this or that or all that mess. And indeed, they were the so-called crazy Christians were right. So they called that fear-mongering against the crazy Christians. But in reality, the crazy Christians, the shout out to the conspiracy theorists. So much of the time, you guys are right. They accuse you of fear-mongering when they're just doing it right in front of our faces, these resets and different things, Oh, it's fear-mongering. So I call it scaremongering to just use a different word from them because I don't like their language. Anyway, let me get to Johnny in Tennessee, a first-time caller. How are you doing, Johnny? Good to hear from you. What's up?
How you doing, Hake?
Fine, thank you.
I'm doing well.
Right on.
So, what I want to talk about, I think that the country is set up for something bad in these midterms coming up.
What do you mean by something bad? Do you have an idea of what bad?
Yeah, I do. I believe that a lot of Republicans are going to win, and they're going to win without anybody knowing who they are.
Yeah.
All these stories coming out, the pedophilia, the Democrats are evil, everything happening, people are going to run to the polls and not even look at the names. It's going to hit hard. Now, if we go by the fact that it's two wings of the same bird and the Great Reset, how easy would it be to get people worse than we have now in that? And people will defend them because they're not Democrats.
Right. That makes a lot of sense, man. We saw that with the Tea Party. And I supported the Tea Party. I participated. JLP founded the South Central LA Tea Party. And I participated in protests, and a lot of the people were decent. You got a lot of background noise. You must be at work out there somewhere.
I am. Hold on, let me try to move.
I appreciate it, man. But anyway, you're so right, because look at the so-called Tea Party guys today. Paul Ryan, thank God he's out of government. Just a disgrace. Adam Kinzinger, I think he rode the Tea Party wave. He's one of the worst. He voted to get rid of Trump or whatever, to impeach him or convict him or dumb stuff. He's trying to... Adam Kinzinger... Oh, man, you're breaking up real bad. I can't understand you. I couldn't even tell you were talking.
Working, sorry.
Okay. John.
Can you hear me any better?
Yeah, that's you're kind of coming in and out, man.
Any better?
Yeah, go for it.
Well, I believe. Have you ever heard that saying that it takes the Democrat to get everyone okay with the war, and it takes a Republican to take your gun rights?
It takes a Democrat to get everyone okay with the what?
War.
War. Oh, okay, yeah. And it takes a Republican to get everyone okay with gun rights violations?
To take your gun rights.
Yeah.
You have to use
Reagan. Ronald Reagan, right? Didn't he do the...
Yep.
Wow.
And Trump passed the red flag law.
Yeah, that's true, huh? Yeah, that was... I didn't like that.
So we're in the
Did
movie.
he really pass that? I know he did the bump stocks, and I think he did kind of support the red flag thing.
Yeah.
Man.
So we're watching a movie of our enemies tag teaming us, and we're rooting for each side, but they're both beating us.
Yeah. Well, we are getting wise to the fact that most of the Republicans are against what's right. I still do appreciate Trump for some of the good things that a lot of good things he was for. Notwithstanding that he may have done some wrong moves, notwithstanding, I think he was a net good for the country.
I think they've been killing us with paper cuts, and I think they're tired of paper cuts.
Death by 1,000 cuts.
Yep.
And now they want to just cut us down hard. Yeah, I mean, the more they can get away with, the more they push. That's for sure.
It's been going on for decades.
Yeah.
This has been a sentence. And
You're
I
right.
think we're getting to a period.
Yeah. It's true, man.
All right, I got to get here.
It sounds good, Johnny. I appreciate your call. Call me again sometime. Take care.
I will.
All right. Bye. Before I get back to calls, guys, Vincent in San Francisco, California, is coming up next. And I have more cyberbullying and Black Lives Matter fake narrative to get to, as well as perhaps more super chats, guys. But first, it's time for some music. Let's listen to some 6 Organs of Admittance, guys. How about that? I know that you guys have been kind of hit and miss on them, like you largely don't appreciate it. But this is from the 2007 album. This is track 3 on the album called Shelter from the Ash by 6 Organs of Admittance. This song is entitled Jade Like Wine. I hope you enjoy it. I think you might actually kind of like it a little bit. Don't try to decipher what it means unless you're very quick. But I've heard this song for like 15 years, you know. Not that I've listened to it that regularly, but I like it. But it doesn't sink in what it means. So I don't think this guy is a Christian, but it's at least not vulgar that I can tell. Or overtly satanic, except for that music is the language of Satan, right? But anyway, here's 6 Organs of Admittance, Jade Like Wine. Enjoy, you musical Philistines. Be right back.
Left me outside in the thorns and the thickets last night. I was sleeping with the worms and the crickets, drinking Jade like wine.
Isn't this nice? Do you like it? Do you like the Latin people? So cool. Very creative cover, says Tom New. Thank you. Now this is music, says David C. Thank you. Is it devil music? How do you not get copyrighted, Hake? I do, but not blocked. Not blocked, nor struck. But they're making money off of me playing this. Whoever owns this. Good music, Hake, says Ryan H. Thank you. Put me to sleep, says Ashley. Are you talking about the music? Definitely satanic, says Ashy Dog. Ben Chastney is the guy. Oh, maybe that's part you're talking about being satanic. The visuals. Luca and I could play this, says Lord Bibby 42. Nice. Very nice guitar acoustics, Hake. Nice album and song. Well, right on. Hake's music is like a box of chocolates, says Jib Jab. You never know what you're gonna get. What a mess. That's a quote from that lame movie. I call it lame. I don't think that I've ever sat through the whole duration of it, but I've probably seen it in the entirety, in parts. Forrest Gump, with that guy Tom Hanks, that liberal. What a mess. Anyway, thank you for bearing with me through that beautiful music, guys. I call it beautiful. I appreciate it. Another quick side note on the chats. The Patriot Act, says Commander Kim, was written and ready before 9/11 even happened. Yeah, I mean, these people are just opportunists. It's just like what I was talking about with or what I read to you in Hake News at the end of hour 2, that the people, people who experience extreme level weather are more likely to believe that this climate change mess is real because they are experiencing the extreme weather, as if they know. You know, as if they know that that there wasn't extreme weather happening back in every so-called extreme weather happening like all throughout history and before history, before it was written down, you know? So, you know, anytime a gun, something happens with a gun, people get shot. Oh, we need more strict gun laws. Be quiet. You guys support the destruction of society such that the single mothers are raising criminals who kill people. Whites and blacks. Let me get to Vincent in San Francisco, California. Vincent, thank you for holding. How are you doing?
Hey, doing well. How you doing, friend?
Doing well as well. Thank you.
Good show, by the way.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, nice, very nice. Hey, I wanted to piggyback on one of the gentlemen talking about lose my train of thought. Basically, the people who lie all the time, you know, scaring you about the COVID and
right.
The planet's going to end tomorrow, and if you don't do these are people who are non-believers because if they believed, they wouldn't worry. You walk through life fearing everything that, oh, my God, if you don't get the jab, you're going to die. I'm going to die. We already know that.
Yeah, they're definitely not Christians. That's so true. And it's more women-minded people, too, because women have fear more so than men, even males.
Well, this is my argument with a lot of people that have this when I challenge them about, okay, what do you mean? That COVID's going to kill me because of what? How is it going to kill me? Oh, I don't know. You know, the people are dying in hospital all the time. Okay, well, people die in hospital all the time.
True.
But, I mean, you got to give me something more than just this COVID thing. And then with Russia right now. Okay, what happened to COVID? You know, COVID's gone, right? Did it just go away?
I know.
I think it's gone, right? Now we can skip over to the Ukraine now.
Well,
Fauci, we don't know. And what about our border? Our border. Okay, Ukraine's border is more important than our border.
Yeah.
Okay, wait a second. Okay, no. Okay, wait. Oh, our police. You know, defund the police. Now you want to fund them again because what reason? What And then the crazy part is the people who actually fall into this trap, and I just spoke with the ones who obviously are non-believers, this is a good way to actually challenge them on this. Say to yourself, to them, I should say, and this is something that I learned. Tell them to look above. Just imagine if you're up in space, like literally up in space, looking down at the moon, from the moon down to the planet, and say, where am I? Find me there. Find yourself there. You can't. That's how small these things are. They're that tiny, you can't find them from space.
Yeah. Interesting.
But they get in your head as if it's,
What you focus on seems important to you. And your focus is being directed by outside influences. That's so true, man. Great points.
They scare people, and the fearful ones are the ones who don't believe in God.
Yeah, that's true, man. And women are further from God, so and then the men are just following and catering to the
Not
women.
all men. Not all.
Most.
But most.
Yeah. Interesting points. Yeah, and I think that's why JLP and God and the Bible say to be quiet. And
yes,
because your focus is constantly being influenced and directed by, your busy thoughts inside your head that are not yours, that JLP says, like they're all lies.
Y'all, and
then the outside
he's a
people.
philosopher, okay? When he said, and I learned that from Jesse Lee Peterson, just sit still.
Right.
Just sit still. It works.
Yeah.
It really does work.
Nice, man.
You don't start flipping out in your head like, oh, it's me. It's going to, doomsday, so you fall into the same trap as the others.
Yeah.
Not all, but most. Anyway, I got that out. Thank you for listening.
Yeah.
Great show once again. Hey, you guys keep up the good work. We need you guys.
Thanks, Vincent. Call again sometime. And be careful out there in San Francisco.
I got the light of God around me. I don't know.
Yeah? So you've been able to avoid stepping on dirty, broken syringes and poop?
Well, I live in Bernal, so I kind of got it easy.
Okay. That's one of the nicer suburbs or something?
Yeah.
Okay. Right on.
We don't have a lot of that. But, I still have to be careful.
Yeah, true. Yeah. Well, thanks, man. I appreciate it. Take care.
Thanks. Have a great day.
You as well. That's a nice... What horrible point. Not even a point, says DJ Onpa. Well, I don't know. I got something out of it. It's like people are so fickle. They want to have... He mentioned something where, defund the police. Oh, no, refund the police. Because people are so pushed around by the phony Black Lives Matter drama, which I'm going to get to. And he brought up the fact that you're so tiny and this stuff that you're worried about. I was listening to the Bond Archive. Let me just tell briefly this story. I was listening to the Bond Archive Sunday service from that appeared yesterday on Bond Rebuilding the Man premiere. And JLP talked about trying to commit suicide after this girl who was so fine that he would parade her through like the long way through the office to show off his pretty beautiful girlfriend. And then she broke up with him. And he was so broken up that he wanted to kill himself, and he took sleeping pills, and they had to pump his stomach because he woke up so sick. And probably now or even like a year later, he's like, what was I all wrapped up concerned about regarding her, all broken up over some girl. Lame. But, you're something that Mike Cernovich said, who's like the center-left guy. I don't know if he's a Christian or what, but he made a point that stuck with me on The Fallen State with Jesse Lee Peterson, that what you focus on seems important to you. And so he wrote this Guerrilla Mindset book, right? And that's nice. And that's a great point. What you focus on seems so important to you. And God's like, that's not important. And the whole rest of the world is like, that's not important. They don't care. People don't even care about people dying, honestly. You're focusing on the Ukrainians dying, but there's like more, according to the great Tucker Carlson on Fox News, there's more journalists dying in the south of the border, like down in Mexico, so-called journalists, reporters, I think, than anywhere else in the world. all kinds of atrocities and evils done even by the very people who are claiming atrocities and war crimes against Putin. So, anyway, before I get back to calls, let me cover this funny story. Cyberbullying, guys. Are you cyberbullies? Do you guys go tell people to kill themselves? I laugh. Don't do that, kids. Don't do that, parents. Oh my gosh. This is from the far left female-run outlet, TheSkimm. Most abuse, they use that word. Speaking of women who don't believe in God, most abuse sent via Instagram DMs. DMs for the boomers is direct messages, meaning private messages. Instagram DMs is ignored. Instagram is it's a social media website that you post pictures and say something. And sometimes people do it politically. Other times people just do it to be pretty or to sell stuff or to show with their family or whatever. Keep in touch with friends. Anyway, a new study found Instagram failed to act on 90% of abuse, alleged abuse, sent via DMs. Despite being reported, the Center for Countering Digital Hate. Oh gosh, digital hate. Not spiritual hate, digital hate. The Center for Countering Digital Hate, CCDH, worked with 5 well-known women on the social media platform. Think Amber Heard and Rachel Riley. Yeah, these are the most hateful people that you can think of, some of them. Amber Heard, that sounds like a liberal woman. Rachel Riley, I can't remember who that is. And went through more than 8,000 of their DMs, only to find Instagram didn't act on the reports of abuse when flagged using the platform's safety tools. Well, I mean, I think they're a huge platform. Far be it from me to defend Instagram, which censors conservatives and truth tellers and everybody decent. They're part of Meta, Facebook, all the same company now. Far be it from me to defend them, but they're a huge platform in DMs. Come on, give me a break. Unless it's like a violent threat, like a believable threat. Just block the person, duh. Ridiculous. Women, so malicious. Women reporting people for abuse. I got reported for abuse on Twitter for citing FBI crime statistics about blacks killing more than twice as many whites as vice versa, year in and year out. Oh, that's abuse. Give me a break. And they suspended me. They made me delete the tweet, a true tweet. Anyway, and I was talking to, this is a side note, I'm getting off, but I was talking to this Black Panther black female dumb woman. Sorry, kids, I said dumb. Sorry, adults. Am I sorry? I do it all the time. I'm not sorry, but bear with me, forgive me. Don't follow in my footsteps. Keep a tight rein on the tongue. Rein on the tongue. Do as I say, not as I do. They went through more than 8,000 of their DMs only to find Instagram didn't act on the reports of abuse when flagged using the platform's safety tools. Harassment, violent threats, and image-based sexual abuse. Oh gosh. That's gross. The report comes as many women say, I don't even check my DMs. Okay, on Twitter I do now. But on IG, I have DMs on both of my accounts, because I have the Hake Report and James Anton Hake. And I'm so bad at checking the DMs. Sorry, guys. It's a fact. The report comes as many women say they feel unsafe on social media. That's because you are. Don't be on there, women. Get off. Get off of the social media. You don't belong there. Right? Anyway, now the CCDH, Center for Countering Digital Hate, is backing up those claims, saying women are exposed to an epidemic of misogynist abuse. Another fake word for hating women. But Instagram's pushing back, saying it's gender-based hate or threat of sexual violence isn't allowed. It's taking steps to prevent it, especially with public figures, especially with public figures. By adding a feature to filter abusive messages and protect users from unwanted contact. But the CCDH report says it's still not enough to keep women safe. You're just online. It's not like you see a blinking message and you're going to have a seizure or something. Remember that guy who gave the other guy a seizure? Like, his name was, it was a funny, like, Jew critical name. And he went after some guy who's like a Trump hater. Said, you deserve a seizure for your dumbness or whatever. Anyway, abuse. Facebook whistleblower, so-called whistleblower. They call her a whistleblower. Ridiculous. Frances Haugen, who went, this purportedly white, allegedly blonde-haired woman, female, was a Facebook worker, I think, or worked with Facebook, Frances Haugen, who went to the State of the Union address invited by the Bidens, one of the Bidens anyway. She said the company, which owns Instagram, Facebook, chooses profits over safety. Yeah, she's calling for more censorship. Ridiculous. Lame. I'm shaking my head. Before I get back to calls, I have to show this to you. It is we're getting close to the bottom of the hour here. This is, remember Amir Locke? Who people are remembering? The far-left female run outlet, TheSkimm reports, Amir Locke. I'm like, who's that? I forgot who that is already. There's so many. I should just call blah, 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 right? By the way, I got blah, blah, blah from JLP, but I took it and ran with it. Because it's like you can't even remember these names, and they're not important anyway. What you focus on seems important to you. You're focusing on people who got themselves killed, and it's ridiculous. The Black Lives Matter people are not sensible people. Amir Locke is a BLM name. Yesterday, Minnesota prosecutors announced no criminal charges will be filed in the death of Amir Locke. And I have some pictures of this guy, some screenshots from the police body cam footage when they no-knock raided the apartment where he was staying. I think it was an apartment. He was, as I recall, according to the story, I have a pretty decent memory. He was staying at a friend's house or a cousin's house or something. And this guy was like 19 years old or pretty young. And I think his cousin might have been even younger than him or whoever's house he was staying at. And he was sleeping under the covers on a couch, a sofa in the living room where you enter the place. Cops barged in, and he had like a gun, like a Glock. Or not like a gun, he had a gun, a pistol, which I suppose he had the right to do. But look at that, you can see this guy with his black person hair under the covers, and he pulls out the pistol, and apparently the cops shot him. What, you prefer him to shoot the cops? Some people might. And in many cases, Asmodor called in after I first reported this story and talked about how guys have shot cops who barged in on no-knock raids, which are legal, but they may not be well advised, maybe ill-advised. And they've shot the cops and been acquitted for shooting the cops because they thought that they were, or they, arguably, they conceivably thought that they were home invaders, So they might be ill-advised. Others, like a former officer, Brandon Tatum, say no-knock raids are important for some of these people. For the element of surprise, it's actually safer. Anyway, here, listen to this. In February, the 22-year-old black male, they capitalized the letter B, I lowercase it, because that's correct, was shot and killed by police carrying out a no-knock raid. So no charges for the officers, according to Minnesota prosecutors. It's the same kind of raid police officers used that resulted in the 2020 killing of Breonna Taylor, says TheSkimm, but that's a lie, as you all probably know by now, because I've said it over and over again. And sometimes you're better informed than I. Breonna Taylor, yeah, they secured a no-knock raid, I hear, but they knocked and announced. They changed it to knock and announce. It was not a no-knock raid. They knocked and announced, and that might have been part of the problem, because had they done a no-knock, maybe the boyfriend what was the boyfriend doing over there? Sleeping with her or something? Out of wedlock? Sex out of wedlock? I don't want to speculate, but not good. Breonna Taylor's boyfriend, not the drug dealer one, or was he a drug dealer too? I don't know. He shot at the cops. And he said, and they can't prove them wrong, that he thought that it was like her ex-boyfriend or somebody trying to home invade, right? Not cops. And so he shot one in the leg. They shot back and killed her, incidentally. That's what happens. But that was a knock and announce raid. They knocked and announced. What, you're not supposed to raid at all? I'm shaking my head. Now officials determined there is not enough evidence, meaning no evidence, to charge the police officer who fired his weapon. They also say body cam video shows Locke pointed his gun at the officer. And Locke may have been, Amir Locke may have been justified in doing that had he not known, right? But the cop was also justified for shooting him. It's what happens. Locke's mother says she's disgusted by the decision. She should be disgusted by herself. Listen to this clip. It's 3 minutes long. It's basically me. It's a 21-minute press conference. Black's long-winded. So I have a little bit of Al Sharpton of so-called National Action Network. He's the Reverend Al Sharpton. And then I have Benjamin Crump, the dark Black Lives Matter lawyer / liar, disgusting person. But he makes an interesting point that I wonder what you guys think about. And then it has this woman, the mother of Amir Locke. It's 3 minutes long, but they are black, so they are somewhat entertaining. I don't think of Al Sharpton as being particularly entertaining. But, Ben Crump gets animated. So, okay, guys. And then this woman, it's kind of interesting because I had not really heard her talk before, and she's kind of shameless. So bear with me through this, and here it is. Enjoy, or not.
Let me say, as we hear from the mother who was here in New York attending
Black nationalist colors.
Network's national convention and got the word that there would not be charges against the police officer that killed Amir Locke.
Is that her real hair?
I went to Minneapolis and did the eulogy at his funeral and worked with his family, along with attorney Ben Crump, who I call the Attorney General.
Blah, blah, blah.
To be supportive of them and them to bond together, unbeknownst to her, Reverend Al, that at the very moment she's preparing to come downstairs, she gets the news that they're not going to charge the police officer for breaking into the house in the wee hours of the morning while her son is asleep. He's so asleep that the cop kicks the couch twice to wake him up.
Was he drunk? Was he high?
He immediately wakes up not knowing who they are, and he's a law-abiding citizen. He's never had a criminal history, has a permit to carry a gun. He goes to protect himself. Where is the Second Amendment supporters for black people who have a right to bear arms? Where's the NRA? They should be outraged. It shouldn't just be the National Action Network. They keep promoting Second Amendment gun rights to protect your home, to protect your sanctuary.
So I almost feel like this was a setup.
Mother
you
talking.
You couldn't wait until next week. You couldn't wait until Friday. So once again, Minneapolis, you're showing your true colors of actually who you are and who you represent. I'm not going to give up. Right now, the Minneapolis police officer that executed my baby boy on 2/2/22.
Baby boy.
Be prepared for this family. Because every time you take a step, we're going to be right behind you. This is not over. You may have been found not guilty, but in the eyes of me, being the mother who I am, you are guilty. And I'm not going to give up. Continue to have your restless nights, because I know you do. You were probably restless before they decided to not charge you today. But you're going to continue to be restless, because the spirit of my baby is going to haunt you for the rest of your life.
What a psycho.
Evil
woman.
Disappointed. I am disgusted with the city of Minneapolis. Very disgusted.
Look at these posers.
I'm to the point to where I want to take back the residency of both my sons from that city.
What a psycho, huh? What a malicious, evil woman. What type of mother was she that he was hanging out at a home that would get home invaded by the cops? As Mador says, in the strictest sense, these cops, cops who do these things, they are home invaders, yeah? A raid. Crazy. Out of control black crime, but they want to focus on what the cops are doing. What a mess. These people are a disgrace. I agree. Sharpton all dried up. Yeah, I know. And he's like frowning, pretending to be all dignified and nodding his head at this woman. Was that her normal hair with the tight curly mess? I don't know, man. Don't say she's pretty, James, says Jib Jab. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't the thought that came into my mind. But, I mean, I suppose so. She's relatively young. Seems a little mannish. Not manly, because not logical. No authority to her. But she's like wishing restless nights. We're going to be coming for you. You executed him. What a mess, huh? It was an unfortunate incident, I guess. And people say, people who called into my show really upset. One caller from like DC area was so upset when I first covered this story, because I was like defending the no-knock raids. Big Bump says it's definitely not her hair. He witnessed supposedly a no-knock raid, saying, oh, it's innocent family, they didn't do anything, and killing kids and stuff like that. And I'm sure that does happen. The more out of control the people get, the more excuses you give the government to impose on the rights. And that's why they use the black out of control crime to clamp down on the whites. This gun violence epidemic and stuff like that. Give me a break. The law-abiding people. Shameful. It's a disgrace. Let me get to Tony in California. He's on the line. Tony, how are you doing?
Oh my goodness, man! It's a shame and a pity how America can justify a murder.
A murder?
An innocent man sleep with a right to bear arm pistol, and you don't agree with.
How can you call that a murder?
Because you broke into the house,
which is legal. Whether it's right or not, it's legal.
You did not identify yourself, so you're thinking that the house is being invaded by burglars or somebody.
In your imagination, you think the guy's thinking that. Hold on, Tony. In your imagination, you think the guy's thinking that. In many cases, they do think that. But you don't know. You don't know what he knew or didn't know.
He was
anyway, how can you justify calling that a murder? Nothing that you just said indicates it's a murder.
Murder, man.
No, it's not.
Was they looking for him? Was they looking for him?
Nope.
So why did they kill him?
Because it wasn't a murder. That you just proved my point. It was not a murder.
Why did they kill him? Why did they kill him?
Because he pointed a gun at them. Allegedly.
He didn't point a gun. He had a gun.
No, according body cam footage. How do you know that he didn't point a gun at them?
Because you got the cam footage. You got the film right there. You didn't see him pointing nothing. They didn't give him time to point nothing.
They said that body cam footage showed him. Hold on, man. And that's not a murder anyway. You don't even have to point a gun to call it a murder, because if you don't drop the gun, it just takes less than a second to point the gun at the cop and fire the weapon. So just holding the gun. And that's not how is that a murder? Are you calling it a murder for no reason?
They busted it and shot him.
You just admitted that they didn't know who he was. They weren't looking for him. So why do you call it a murder? Murder means you were looking for the guy and you killed him.
Who were they looking for? Did they find who they were looking for?
I don't know. They were looking for They were at he was not at his friend's house. I mean, he was at his friend's house.
Okay, that's
so
not the reason
you
I
called it a
you.
murder based on no evidence.
Okay, that's not the reason I
so
called
you falsely accused.
Of,
are you gonna retract your statement? You falsely accusing cops of murder?
No, heck no. They do it every day. No,
they don't.
No. But the reason I called
so you falsely called it a murder, and you're not going to take it back because you love lying.
I know you are happy today. I know you're very happy today.
Why?
Because we had a conversation about maybe 3-4 months ago. Don't you know Tennessee bless you and those who think like you?
What are you talking about?
Well, they passed a bill. I think the number is 233 that you can marry a 12-year-old.
What?
If you know what if these white Republicans so low allow an old man or adult to marry a 12-year-old, they're the ones that need to be locked up and let go R. Kelly.
R. Kelly, I don't know what he did or didn't do, and I don't know anything about this law that allegedly was passed according to you.
Well, this is the most lowest thing America could do.
No, you don't. You don't know what you're talking about.
See, the thing you always want to defend. Why you always want to defend?
I'm not defending. I'm just saying it's not the lowest thing.
You got a computer right there in front of you. Look it up.
I don't feel like looking it up.
Because you don't want to speak on it. Because
you don't know me. You don't know me.
Man, come on. I do know you because I know what you said 3-4 months ago.
What'd I say?
You said you would rather have a 12-year-old than a 35-year-old.
What? I never said anything to the sort.
You would rather be with a person that's young than be with a person that got experience.
That's not true.
You did say that.
I never said that. Now you're lying on me.
No, I'm not.
All you ever do anytime you call into the show is lie.
You sit there and lie on your own show.
No. Let me tell you, I'll tell you one thing that I did say.
Okay, clean it up now. Clean it up.
Yeah, clean yourself up, you sick person, you liar. Okay, so one thing that I did say, I'm putting Tony on hold. One thing that I did say is, kids are having sex out of wedlock now. It's so disgusting. Thanks to people people that Tony support, by the way, Democrats and rhinos. People are having sex out of wedlock, and then 13-year-olds get pregnant. They have an abortion that disrupts their body. It's better to have the kid if you get pregnant at a young age, rather than wait and have a kid at age like 35. You're more likely to get breast cancer with that way. It's not good to be waiting to have kids. You're supposed to grow up, become mature, be responsible from a young age, be raised by both parents in a Christian home. Or if it's not Christian, but just be responsible and dignified and don't be having sex out of wedlock. You get married, be responsible, don't be getting divorced. You raise the kids from a young age. You'll have healthier children, and you won't be a miserable feminist trying to have it all. That's what I said. I didn't say anything about what I prefer. Tony, you sicko? You sicko?
You something else, man. You just like
you're something else.
You always want to flip something. But you agree with this law, right?
The Tennessee age of consent. I have no idea what you're talking about, Tony.
How old are you? You're 50 years old, right?
Tony, the Tennessee age of consent is 18.
Bro, they just passed a bill, 233, that allow adults to marry a 12-year-old.
That's so you claim, but you always, and it may be, but you always call in and lie.
No, ain't no may be nothing. That's
Tony,
the truth of the matter.
You always call in and lie. Tony is not a reliable witness. I had to put him on hold because he keeps on talking. The lowest thing America did is allow people with opinions of this country to continue to stay here. Yeah. Tony, you're back on air. You're a mess.
Why you always take me off there? You want
because you won't shut up.
Well, I mean, you got a time to talk. I got a time to talk. That's how we had. That's called debating.
And then when I'm talking, you try to talk over me, so I put you on hold.
You lying to your viewers. That's why.
You're the one lying to my viewers, and I'm not 50.
America Cup. All you got to do is look up Bill 233 for Tennessee.
Bill 233.
I'll talk to your viewers.
Hold on. Bill 233 from Tennessee so claims this lying person. And he may be right. I don't know. But Asmodor has a super chat.
You're always talking in circles, man.
Hold on, man. Asmodor has a super chat. Says, no such bill has been passed. One legislator filed an amendment. And he links a story from the Tennessean, which is an affiliate of USA Today, far left USA Today. Tennessee legislator files amendment to the anti-LGBT marriage bill amid an age limit backlash. A Tennessee bill to exclude same-sex couples from proposed legal marriage contract processes sparked widespread backlash after sponsors initially failed to include a minimum age limit in the legislation. So they're saying, a marriage is between a man and a woman, but they didn't impose a minimum age limit in the legislation. Sponsors have submitted amendments to address the issue. And so I guess that this is... So are you telling me that you support degenerate fake marriage? You support so-called same-sex marriage? Do you support degenerate fake same-sex marriage, Tony?
I have nothing to do with that, sir. I am married to my wife, and that's all I deal with.
Yes or no?
I have no comment.
Coward.
Ain't no coward.
Yes, you are.
People do it. I have no right to speak on somebody else.
Yes, you do. Okay? You speak on me all the time, and you speak on America all the time.
You don't own nobody.
Yes, I do.
You don't even own yourself.
Neither do you. You don't own me.
According to Jesse, you don't even own yourself. So how I go speak on somebody else, what they do in their lives?
Because you're supposed to be a man. You are a male, but you're not a man.
Why don't you tell Jesse that? Why don't you tell Jesse that?
I don't have to tell Jesse. Jesse tells people what to do all the time. He says, hold on, he says, do what you want, of course, but we're talking about making laws that pretend that same-sex marriage is real. You are a lying snake, Tony.
What I lied about on same, I have no comment on that. So how I lied
because you're a coward. You're trying to say that we're telling people what to do. We're telling people that that's not a marriage.
You do.
Saying that so-called same-sex marriage is not a marriage isn't telling people what to do.
Okay. Well, let me ask you another question.
You're slow.
Let me ask you another question.
You're slow. You shouldn't even vote.
Hey, that's your opinion, and everybody got one. But the thing is on this is what? Why did a white man and his father go to the grocery store, and the father told him that he wasn't paying for the groceries, and then when they got back home, the white man stabbed his father to death? What's wrong with you white folks, man?
That wasn't me. And it sounds more like your people.
No, he was pure white.
No, it happens more frequently among blacks than it happens among whites. So
that's not
all
true.
you ever, it does. No, it's true.
Y'all kill for money.
No.
White folks kill for money. Y'all kill
so do blacks.
For anything.
So do blacks.
No, we ain't got no money according to what y'all.
You got too much money.
What we kill it for?
You got too much money.
Well, you know what thing. That's your opinion against her.
No, it's a fact.
I just don't understand y'all white folks, man. But you know what, man? I did see this, and this is the true fact. White people are dying more than they're having babies. So that's what they're telling you. God got a plan for y'all.
You don't know God.
Off the face of this earth.
Don't act like you know God.
Hey, it might not be your God, but my God's showing me something that white folks are dying more faster than they having babies.
Your God is Satan.
What that means for you in the next 15, 20 years, y'all is going to be non-existent.
You don't know what you're talking about. Your God is Satan, Tony.
That's the punishment.
Hold on, Tony. Tony, why do you hate white people?
I don't hate them.
Yes, you do.
I don't hate nobody.
Yes, you do.
No.
Yes, you do.
How you going to tell me what I do?
You hate white people. It's a fact.
How you going to tell me what I am?
You hate white people.
How can you come out your lips, the little lips that you have, tell me what I am?
Because I know that your big lips, your big lying hate-filled lips, hate white people. You speak hatred towards whites every time you call in.
And why do white folks want to have big filled lips like black folks?
We don't. I don't know who you're talking about.
Why is that?
No, not one normal white wants big black lips. You're sick, man. This guy is
That's
trash.
amazing, man. Y'all always want to imitate somebody else. Why you just can't be who you are?
How about you get out of my country?
What country?
This is America.
Where you from? You ain't from here?
How about
You're
the?
a minority. You're an
Hey,
immigrant.
Tony. I'm not an immigrant.
You are an immigrant.
I'm a Native American.
You're an immigrant.
I'm a Native American, Tony.
You're an immigrant.
No, I'm a Native American. I was born here.
You wish
Two
you
people
had
who were
red
born
blood in
here.
No,
Tony.
No. That's a lie. That's
I have
another white man lie.
one last question for you, because you're such a
Yes,
mess.
Yes,
Brandon
sir.
M. asks, what about the black man raping women in the middle of Walmart? What's wrong with you people?
He did not.
What's
he had
wrong
a
with you
mental
black people?
illness. He had a mental
Does God have a
illness.
plan for you black people?
Is something wrong with whoever that guy is? He had a mental illness, okay?
Yeah. Oh, anytime a
What about
black
the white-
does something
what
wrong,
about the white
oh, it's a
that
mental
raped-
illness.
What
Oh,
about the whites that
it's
raping
not
the
because he was
Ukraine?
raised wrong.
The Russians over there, they're raping the.
Bye,
raped
Tony.
the female.
Goodbye. Gotta go. Oh my gosh, terrible. I have a super chat that is from Asmodor that says, the outcome of not my business. And so I have this meme that says, gay marriage, how did it happen, in the folder here. I just dragged it into the exterior portion of this folder. And I shall describe it for the audio podcast viewers as a 4-panel comic, cartoon type of a thing. And it has this guy who says to an upstanding, well-dressed man, why do you care if they take Christ out of schools? This guy looks like he might be white, but probably not a normal white. He says, why do you care if they take Christ out of schools? And then he tells, and then in the second panel, and that was in front of a schoolhouse with children. And then in the second panel, this same guy is haranguing this upstanding, well-dressed white man who's wearing a suit, standing in front of a church with 2 males pretending to be holding female bride bouquets, pretending that they're same-sex married. Why do you care if they legalize gay marriage? This probably not a Christian cartoon character says. And then in the third panel, he harangues, he's in a neighborhood, and he harangues the white guy who's well-dressed in a suit. And this guy who's less well-dressed says, and he's fatter too, less fit and shorter, says, why do you care that the neighbors are gay? And it shows a couple of kids who are like confused at seeing this public indecency of, the gays holding hands and being all nasty together, right? And then in the fourth panel, it says, this is kind of long-winded, but I'm explaining it for the podcast listeners. And probably the podcast listeners are not quite following, but anyway, this guy who's also not a Christian is finally not happy because the well-dressed white man who's tall and fit and wearing a suit with his son says, we are moving. And the guy who's like, why do you care? Why do you care? Why do you care? Why do you care they take Christ out of schools? Why do you care if they legalize gay marriage? Why do you care the neighbors are gay? And then he says, how did this happen? And his son, his little son who's been with him throughout this panel says, Dad, I'm a girl now. So he's like, how did this happen? And the guy says, we are moving. And that's the end result of the outcome of not my business. Thanks for keeping that up there, Chris. What a mess, huh? Tony. What a joke. What a joke. Can you picture his children? I think he has grown children. You're an immigrant. Can you picture his children taking him seriously? I can't. Brandon M. says it has another super chat. I just got through reading a comic strip. Very poignant one. Brandon M. says, it wouldn't surprise me if Tony had a white husband. Oh, come on. But that's none of my business, says Brandon M. Pretty funny. More super chats from streamlabs.com/the Hake Report. What a mess, huh? Okay. John WX25 says, so now we know for a fact that inmates have more moral character on how to deal with pedophiles that hurt children than a Supreme Court justice. Every Democrat, as well as Murkowski, Collins, and Mittens, as in Mitt Romney. Interesting. Although, because the prison inmates, he's saying would, kill or punish, corporal punishment against the pedophiles. I don't know. I wouldn't call that better, necessarily. But they do have, people are like, oh, at least they have some standard. Yeah, these people are evil. For sure. Espert Bibby 42 says, I remember the conversation Tony is going on about. Says Espert Bibby 42. Tony is lying, and he spells Tony T-O-N-I. The female spelling. Some people call him Toby. He casually put those words out in the open and claimed Hake said them, when in fact it was all Tony. Leads me to believe he may have done something in his past that he is projecting. So says Espert Bibby 42. Well, thank you guys. Helping set the record straight on these lion black collars. So disgraceful. So wrong. Let me go back and finish the last bit of this story on the Black Lives Matter, because the far left female-run outlet TheSkimm says Black lives still matter. Oh gosh, be quiet. Don't worry your pretty little heads about politics. You don't believe in God. You don't have common sense. It's been almost 2 years, they say, since the death of Georgia, Florida. I call him Georgia, Florida, because that's what my second favorite caller, Earl, who has not called in almost a year, used to call George Floyd. Georgia, Florida. I'm like, Georgia, Florida? Oh, he meant George Floyd. He just said, after both. Reinvigorated. 2 years since the death of George Floyd. Reinvigorated. Wow, a death reinvigorated. How morbid the evil Black Lives Matter so-called movement. Isn't that interesting wording? Reinvigorated. Put more energy. They get energy from death. That he brought on himself, by the way. The overdose death. I can't breathe. Put me on the ground. I don't want to be in the... Putting me on the ground. I don't want to be in this car. I can't breathe in here. And still, last year, Black Americans accounted for 27% of those killed by police. Twice the rate of white Americans, and twice their share of the population. Blacks are like supposedly 13% of the population, maybe 14, maybe 12, I'm not sure. Might be going down, because those Hispanics and Asians and Muslims are going up. Interesting that they point out that Black Americans, so-called Americans, were 27% of those who were killed by police. Most of those police killings by police are justified, bottom line, justified, or they are not murders. There was a guy in the chat who was saying that was a murder. I'm blanking on the name of the user in YouTube who said that was a murder of Amir Locke. How can you call it a murder? It was not with malice aforethought, and it was not in the commission of a crime. Some people say that it should be a crime, in which case they would not do no-knock raids, right? But it's illegal. Whether it's right or not, it's illegal. So it's not a murder. It's just not. So anyway. And they didn't know who he was. They saw the gun. And according to them, he pointed the gun at them. I have never watched the body cam video footage. But you see him with the gun. It doesn't take much to point it at him. But they say that he pointed it at them. And usually, it turns out that they're not lying. Especially when they say that body cam footage shows it. Maybe there was some body cam footage that has not been seen by the public, right? Anyway. It's interesting that they point out that 27% of those killed by police are black. Isn't it interesting that over a recent whole decade, 40% of those who killed cops, 40% were black. From, I think, like 2005 to 2014, more than 39%, almost 40% of the 13% of the population were cop killers. Blacks overrepresented by like 3 times their share of the population. I think they're like 4 times as likely as whites to kill cops. So it would follow, it seems like the tip of the iceberg to show that, oh, you know what? Maybe it is reasonable that blacks are more likely to get killed by cops, because they're also more likely to kill cops by even more. Blacks resist arrest at 8 to 9 times more than whites in San Francisco. That was shown, I remember Jared Taylor tweeted that out of American Renaissance, and I looked it up, and yet, sure enough, the statistics showed in San Francisco area anyway, blacks were 8 or 9 times as likely to resist arrest. And we all know that. We all know that. They kill cops 4 times as much as whites per capita. They're 40% of cop killers over a recent decade per FBI. The far left FBI, by the way, they start to, it's so bad that the FBI and the DOJ start to editorialize crime. And editorializing is coming up with things called hate crimes. They editorialize it. And they don't get all of the stats either. They don't have complete numbers. It's worse than they're admitting. And they stopped counting, black on white rapes. They stopped counting interracial rapes because blacks were raping like 30 times more. I mean, like blacks would rape like 20,000 people in 2008. Allegedly, right? It's probably sexual assault too, like whatever. Sexual assault is like, you could, I don't know, people accuse Trump of sexual assault, But anyway, according to the criminal victimization surveys, there was like 20,000 black on white rapes and 0 white on black rapes. I guess those black women just less desirable, according to the whites. And blacks commit murder at like 6 times the rates that whites do. So, pretending that, oh my gosh, it's systemic racism, that blacks are less likely to get killed by police than to kill police, per cap compared to their share of the population and stuff, and less likely to get killed by police than they are to commit murder, like 6 times as much as whites? What a mess, huh? The Minneapolis mayor is not a Christian, by the way. That's that Jacob Frey guy. Oh gosh, they were protesting this Amir Locke guy, blah, blah, blah guy. The mayor announced a policy prohibiting police from no-knock search warrants in most cases. Other states have enacted similar policies. Only 4 have outright banned no-knock warrants. And that's something that some people are for. I don't know, do you think that the NRA should stand for Amir Locke? This is a revolt against racism. Stop the war on Black America. Party for socialism and liberation. Oh gosh. They lied. Jacob Frey, who's not a Christian. Amir died. Justice for Amir Locke. And all stolen lives. Don't live in such a way as to get your life lost, whether justly or unjustly. Be wise, because reality can be merciless. No more no-knocks, says these people. But then they say Black Lives Matter. Can't get with that. Anyway, guys, we are overtime. This has been the Hake Report. Appreciate you bearing with me. Thank you for joining. I shall catch you tomorrow. Hopefully. Will be Friday. Thanks, and take care.